Hello music fans, you're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music, and this is New Music Picks 2026. I'm going to give my first impressions on 7 new music releases that came out over the past week, and I'll talk about them in my order of preference, starting with Only Human and their album Planned Obsolescence, the debut album by this Danish progressive metal band. They play in the gent style for fans of Tesseract, Periphery, and Northlane. And this one is a near masterpiece for me. Big thanks to Seasons of Mist for sending me an early promo of this album. I loved it right away. Keep loving it on every listen. It's a concept album that warns of a not too distant dystopian future on the brink of collapse, focusing on the dangers of technology and how it changes human behavior while we offload our critical thought and algorithms decide what we should do. I reacted to the single and the music video for the song Automata on my channel. Great music video there. Check out my reaction. Still probably my favorite track on the album. Maybe if I remember, I'll post a link to it here, but probably I won't remember. But go to my channel, look for that if you want to see my reaction to that music video. So that was Only Human with Planned Obsolescence, near masterpiece. Next up, I want to talk about Godsticks and their album Void. Also released March 27th, like all of these albums today, March 27th, 2026. This is the 7th album with its band from the UK. It's progressive metal / rock, not the super heavy, intense, brutal progressive metal. It's actually fairly accessible for a mainstream audience. I'm putting this in my very good tier. This band's actually from Wales, and I thought their last album, This Is What a Winner Looks Like, from 2023, was very good as well. And I enjoyed the single I heard from this ahead of time, which was MIA. This band, to me, sounds like some of the classic progressive metal bands like Fate's Warning and Queensryche, but they've got a more modern progressive metal and gent rhythm style to them without the low tune 7-string guitars. So they have some of that syncopation of gent, but they guitar tone more like alternative bands like Alter Bridge and Creed, or bands from the new metal genre like Slipknot or System of a Down. Very interesting sound, well written, well played. Likely won't make my year-end top 40 or 50 list or anything, but imagine the vocals of Queensryche with the guitar tone of Alter Bridge and the rhythms of Periphery. That's kind of what you'll get here. Still need to do some more listens to decide if I like this better than the last album by Godsticks, but I'd say it's pretty close to on par. So if you liked their last album, you should like this. So definitely check out Void by Godsticks. Next, I want to mention Flea and his debut solo album, Honora. This is mostly instrumental jazz fusion, and this is the Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist. Red Hot Chili Peppers, of course, is a legendary American band, and Flea is their bass player. He has Tom York of Radiohead guesting on one track here, Traffic Lights. He has Nick Cave on another, Wichita Lineman, and he has a choir on Free As I Want to Be. And Flea does some spoken word vocals on some tracks as well. But around 50% of the time, it focuses on instrumental pieces. Very mellow, very soft, but quite artsy. And not what most people who think of Flea would imagine him doing if they imagine him doing a solo album. It's not fast. There's no heaviness. It's not that funky. I guess it's a little bit funky, but it's more jazz fusiony and artsy and art rock kind of, and mellow. And I found it very interesting. Not sure how often I'll go back to it though. Flea does a lot of cool bass lines. He's a great player, and he does some cool trumpet solos. And I really did enjoy the tracks with Tom York and Nick Cave. I didn't like it as much when Flea did the spoken word. Not that the lyrics were that bad or anything, but I think there was some room for improvement. And the delivery and words just sound a bit too much like what I imagine someone reading slam poetry would sound like. He throws in some swear words to try to be tough and cool and tries to have like some meaningful political messages. But at this point, he comes off as just a rich old guy, so I don't know if that really works here for him. Musically, still all quite good and interesting, though. So if you want to hear the Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Flea doing a mostly instrumental jazz fusion album, check out Honora. Next up, I'll mention Myrath. I'm still at my very good tier here, as most of the albums today will be. Myrath put out an album called Wilderness of Mirrors, the 7th album by this band from Tunisia, and I don't hear of too many bands from Tunisia. This is progressive power metal with symphonic metal, folk metal, and oriental metal influences. Also in my very good tier. And I thought their 6th album, Karma from 2024, is very good as well. I didn't go back to it too much, though, and I'm not sure I will go back to this one much either. I enjoyed the early singles I heard from this one, Until the End, which features Elise Rid from Amaranth, and The Funeral was another early single, and Breathing Near the Roar. I was hoping this could be even better than their last one. It might be a tad better, but it's in the same ballpark. It's an album by Myrath that I really enjoy when it's on, but probably not one to return to much, because for this style, I'm a fan of bands like Evergrey. If you like Evergrey, you might like this, or bands like Seven Wonder, Symphony X, Vanden Plas, Arion, Redemption, Orphan Land. I think I prefer those bands I mentioned in this style, which is why I'd probably go to them before Myrath here, though this is still very good stuff. Next up, I want to mention Threat Signal with their album Revelations, the 5th album by this Canadian melodic metalcore band. They've got melodic death metal, groove metal, alternative metal, even a tiny little bit of gent influence. And I remember listening to Threat Signal a bit way back in the mid-2000s, around the time of their debut album, but I didn't keep up with everything they put out. So it's been about 8 years since their last album. And I enjoyed the early single for this new album, which was Exercise the Demon. So I was looking forward to hearing the album and supporting this Canadian band as a fellow Canadian. And the whole album here is really solid from start to finish. If you're a fan of Bullet for My Valentine, Still Remains, and As I Lay Dying, think of those sounds, but imagine that with clean vocals that sound more like Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, as well as some typical intense metalcore harsh vocals. Some shredding guitar moments reminiscent of Atreyu and All That Remains. That sounds good to you. Check out Revelations by Threat Signal. I feel like this is one that in high school I would have really liked if it came to me then. It really does throw back to the 2000s metalcore sound. I still like it now, but my tastes have shifted more towards the more progressive stuff. But if you like metalcore, definitely check out Revelations by Threat Signal. Next up, I've got EchoVerse and their album Fall Towards the Sky. Also in my very good tier, this is the 2nd album by this American band. It's Christian progressive rock with hard rock and heavy metal influences. And I found out about EchoVerse because 2 of their members, both named Kyle, are featured on the Prog Corner, which is a YouTube channel that's another great channel to learn about prog music from. And I listened to their debut album when it came out and thought it was good, but I wasn't blown away by it. I do think everyone in the band is a solid musician. I felt like they were just lacking some wow factor and some originality and something to make them unique and stand out. And I'm also generally not a fan of the Christian bands or any type of band where religion is the primary lyrical focus. I do make some exceptions for people with great musical talent, like Neil Morse, of course. And I was curious enough to check out this band, EchoVerse, again. And I enjoyed the single I heard from them ahead of time. It had more of a hard rock and riff than what I remember from their debut. and I was interested to hear them bring in some Rush and some Dream Theater type influence into their sound. All in all, I think this album's a step up from their debut. Not 100% sold on the vocals here. They remind me a bit of Neil Morris, but maybe a little bit higher in pitch. And there's a couple of great tracks on here, though. There's tracks like Serpent and Schism, which has an intro that perhaps has a Tool reference, and Gold Bars, maybe even a better track than that one. So probably my current favorite on the album would be Gold Bars. Though I could definitely use some more listens here to be sure. If you like this kind of Neil Morris sound and want to hear that combined with Russian Dream Theater, definitely check out Fall Towards the Sky by EchoVerse, another very good album. And last on my list for today is Enslaved and Storm Weather Shanty Choir with their kind of double single that they put out, collaborative work between these two artists. I'm not familiar with Storm Weather Shanty Choir, but they pretty much sound like exactly what the name sounds like. And Enslaved, of course, is an amazing progressive black metal band. But here, both these artists are from Norway, and here they're doing folk metal sea shanties, which is not what I expect from Enslaved, not really what I want from Enslaved. I'm still putting this in my good tier. This just consists of two tracks here. It's Fire Marengo and Anna Lavinda. So if you want to hear Enslaved doing some sea shanties, this is for you. It's an interesting experiment, not a direction that I hope Enslaved continues to go in. I prefer their progressive black metal sound, but it exists and it's not bad. It's good, I'd say. Didn't quite cross my threshold into very good. I called it good. I was, bordering on putting it in average tier, which is my tier below good. But I still think it's like a bit more interesting than just like turning on the radio and hearing your average pop song. You get these folk metal sea shanties with some pretty cool arrangements and performances. That's it for my first impressions on these 7 music releases that came out over the past week. What do you think of these? Let me know down in the comments. And did anything else come out recently that you think I might enjoy? Also let me know. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, you've come to the right place. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay in the loop of when I post new videos. My next video in this series, I'll be giving my first impressions on new albums from The Chemical Mind, Green Carnation, Angine de Poitrine, Hex, Zachary Baker. So looking forward to talking about those. And I think I might do another video this week. I'm thinking of doing a review of a classic album, Scenes from a Memory by Dream Theater. So also stay tuned for that, and peace out.